I've loved the X-Men for years, ever since I was given a reprint of Days of Future Past by my cousins when I was about 7 years old, to watching the first film when it came out the year after, through memorising top trumps of the characters. I even have this Dorling Kindersley reference guide for X-Men that I got when I was about 9 years old and I went to the States for the first time. I love the X-Men to a shameful extent, so when I heard that there was going to be a Wolverine movie with all of the gritty action and character building that his comics had, I was pumped. Unfortunately, that movie was The Wolverine, a bizarre mishmash of the Japan Wolverine comics and whatever giant robot nonsense the marketing department decided they needed to sell action figures. And then last year I saw the announcement for Logan, and to be honest, I was horrified. Another Wolverine movie from the same team, heavens help us. And then that trailer came out. You know the one.
Logan. What did you do?
From the first stirring strums of hurt to the final montage of pure carnage breaking out, I was hooked. It's one of the best trailers I've ever seen, so I was cautiously optimistic heading into the cinema for this. Logan is the first R-rated X-Men movie, and it owns that rating right from the first scene where he's cursing and dishing out mortal wounds like a Red Bull swigging teenager on Call of Duty. But as the story progresses and Logan is introduced to Laura, a young mutant with retractable claws and an insatiable berserker rage like him, it becomes clear that the rating isn't just an excuse to show the ultraviolence of the old 90s Liefeld era comics, but instead an opportunity to tell a story with the requisite depth of emotion as any mature movie ought to have. The clearest example of this is, and this is a spoiler by the way, so buckle up if you haven't seen the movie yet, the scene when Laura presents Logan with the adamantium bullet that she found in his pockets. After going on a semi-prepared spiel about how it's the only way that he can keep track of who he is and where he came from, he pauses and just flat out admits that he's keeping it to kill himself one day. That's a very adult story beat that wouldn't be allowed in a PG-rated movie. Not because it's literally not allowed by the rating, but because it could turn off those valuable younger audiences. With an R rating, James Mangold, the film's director, and Hugh Jackman, the star, are able to explore aspects of the character that have always been tantalizingly visible but just under the surface of his more family-friendly appearances. And with more to do, the actors can really unleash their skills. Hugh Jackman shows every ounce of the determination, grit and guilt that we have always known Logan to harbour, and Patrick Stewart moves from the puritanical righteousness of previous performances to the bitterness of a cantankerous, deteriorating old man. More spoilers ahead, because one of the things that really struck me about the movie is that these actors have been portraying for 17 years are finally able to die in a moment with lasting weight on screen. When they finally do die, the effect is transformative. It becomes apparent that this is a superhero picture of real weight, where actions have genuine, dire consequences. Patrick Stewart's final speech is a masterclass of expression, releasing a whole franchise's worth of pent-up emotion. And Hugh Jackman. When I was reading the comics as a kid, Cyclops was my favourite character, but when the first movie came out, and Wolverine's sort of a viewpoint figure in that, Hugh Jackman made him my favourite. I've stuck with those movies and with that character for the last 17 years. They've taken me through a huge part of my life. It takes a certain kind of actor to be able to reveal a whole lifetime of a character in a single line, and he does it with his last words. And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Outside of characterization, the plot is the same amount of thin as you might expect from a superhero movie. It's better than most. Characters have actual reasons for doing what they do. They have motivations and limitations, and the ending isn't some massive CGI showdown, which is frankly a breath of fresh air. It's not particularly revelatory or insightful, and in a movie of another genre, it might not pass muster. But in a superhero film, especially considering the poor caliber of the ones we've seen recently, it's a joy. The other gift of the film is its direction. Freed from the shackles of such extensive CGI sequences as the train fight in The Wolverine, Mangold is able to build on sensory imagery and a quiet way with mise-en-scène to create a superhero film with real vision. He showed a little promise there in the opening sequence of The Wolverine, detailing Logan on a hunt in the wilderness, so it's no surprise to see it here, but it is great to see that developed. With an excellent team of stunt choreographers, a clear vision for the film including heavy Western influences, and a very skilled cinematographer, Mangold is able to give us proper fights that develop as set pieces and quiet character moments as well. I'm not the kind of reviewer to make a list of all the X-Men films and place them in order ranging from worst to best. And even if I did, the comparisons wouldn't necessarily make much sense. After all, the franchise has run for 17 years over reboots and lost plots, changing tone and style with each iteration, from the steroid madness of X-Men Origins to the stately chaos of X2. But one thing which has remained constant, and which I was sad to see missing in Logan, was a sense of hope. Throughout their struggles, the X-Men have been advocating for a brighter, better world, working in the hopes that those who come after them will know an easier world. But Logan is set in a world where those hopes have been definitively, finally, bitterly frustrated. That was a change that didn't sit well with me, and to be honest felt a little mean-spirited. I know that films reflect the environments that they're made in. I know that Europe is in strife, that the US president is a deeply unpopular semi-fascist tool. I know that the ecosystem is dying and that Marvel keeps churning out shitter and shitter movies. But that means that now, more than ever, we need hope. That's why I always like the superhero genre. These demigods fight for freedom and peace, even if they never quite achieve it. To see a film, and a good film too, where that fight is over and the bad guys won, that was pretty crushing. Anyway, 17 years after I saw my first X-Men movie, we have a fitting coda to a long and convoluted story. Logan is one of the best superhero movies, and I think an invitation to the rest of the genre. Die now, while you still have your dignity and your values are intact. An invitation which I think may have come a little too late. Hope you enjoyed my review of Logan. Don't forget to click subscribe if you want to see more from me. We've got a lot of blockbusters coming up this summer and I'm hoping to watch all of them. If you're interested in seeing the rest of the X-Men series, consider buying them through our Amazon affiliate links in the description below. You don't have to use them, it's just a way of helping fund the channel if you want to. And I'd love to find out more about what you thought about Logan. If you want to comment down below about the movie, about the superhero genre in general, or how you think it reflects on the long heritage of the X-Men, let me know. Have a good one, see you later.